Well, thank you for joining me. Hopefully this is all working. And first of all, I just want to say welcome to the very first Llandough Live. As I said, or I have said over the past couple of days, or weeks in fact now, with the current situation we're in and the crisis and the restrictions on all of our movement, I haven't been able to get out and reach you all and speak with you and communicate as I would usually like. And my favourite way of doing that is to go door to door, do it face to face. But for obvious reasons, we can't do that right now. So I've been thinking of other ways to reach you. As you will see, I've done a lot more on social media. I've also started sending regular emails out for those of you who are on my contacts list. And I thought that Facebook Live would be another good way, or at least a way of trying to do something a bit different. So thanks all for tuning in. Hopefully you're all receiving this. And I just want to give a shout out at the start to Reverend Rosehill from St Doctory's Church, the parish of Penarth and Llandough, because Rose, some of you may have seen, has been she led the way on this, really. The parish on their Facebook page, the parish of Penarth and Llandough. If you don't like them or follow them already, please do give them a follow. There's a shout out for them as well. She's been doing daily services, or sometimes multiple daily services, for people who can't go into the church at the moment for safety reasons. So I saw that. Sorry for stealing your idea, Rose. Hope you don't mind. But I thought this would be a good way of communicating with you all, getting across some of the latest updates, and also answering any of the questions that you may have. And I can see already some of you are watching. Thanks for the comments. You're saying I'm doing well. Whether that's the case by the time we finish, who knows? But as I've said, this may go well, it may go catastrophically. But if I'm being completely honest, with everything else that's going on at the moment, I don't care. It's worth a try, and hopefully this will be a good way of reaching you all. So if you do want to send a question in, please do just put one in the comments, and I will do my best to answer it. If I can't answer it, I will get back to you with an answer once I've been able to look it up, really. But some of you have sent questions in already, so I will start with those. And the first question, or I had a series of questions actually in from Rory Glossop, who is a resident. So what I'll do, Roy, if I hope you don't mind, I'll try and break them up so that I can answer some of the other questions that come in as we go as well. But if I make a start with them, Roy's first question is, could you update us on the current opening times for local supermarkets in regard to allotted times for the vulnerable and elderly? Well, yes, Roy, it does depend on the supermarket and the shop in question. I know that Tesco's down in Cogan, it's a scheme that Tesco's have done nationwide, but it does apply to the Cogan store. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning, that is a time that is reserved in Tesco's for vulnerable and elderly customers. That's a way of making sure that those who are most in need and most at risk from this crisis are able to go to the shop, and they'll make sure that the shop is stocked and that the facilities are available. So one thing I would say to everyone on this, if you're not in one of those categories, please do abide by and follow the and respect these systems that they've got in place, because they are there to help people who are vulnerable and in need. And in this crisis, if not at all times, but especially now, it's important we look out for one another, and it's important that we do all we can to make sure that those who are most at risk get the support. So that's what Tesco's in Penarth are doing. Asda's in Leckwith, I don't think Asda's have launched a scheme like this. Actually, I know they've put in place lots of measures to make shopping a lot easier. If I'm wrong on that, someone please do correct me on this, because it's important that we get the information right. But that's, as far as I'm aware, the state of play on that. So that's the update from that. One other thing I would point out, I know that a lot of independent stalls in Penarth and the surrounding area are also doing similar to try and help people who can't get out, either because they're self-isolating or because or basically we're not supposed to be out if we can help it. And a lot of them are offering free delivery. I know that AB Snell and Son in Penarth are doing that. I know that some of the butcher stalls are doing it. I think that David Lush Butchers are one as well. I know on the Llandough COVID-19 mutual aid page, a lot of those businesses that are offering this service, their details have been posted there. So please do check that out, because there are lots of options available. Admittedly, we can't have everything as instantly as we would like. The circumstances don't allow that. But where these services are in place, please do use them. So that's the state of play on that. Hopefully that answers your question, Roy. If you do want to come back on that, or if there are any further follow-ups, please do let me know. But that's the situation with regard to local shops and supermarkets. And one thing I did just mention there, actually, is the Llandough COVID-19 mutual aid group. This is a fantastic service or community group that's been set up. It's great to see so many people in our community get involved, really want to help others at this time. One of the few benefits of what's gone on, I think, has been the togetherness we've seen, the community spirit in question. So a big shout out to Joe and Julia and everyone who's worked so hard to get that up and running. And please do, if you're in need of any support, do get in touch with them. And I can see, actually, we've just had our first live question from Nitesh. So hi, Nitesh, thank you for watching this. Nitesh's question: is there a better way to manage the blue bag recycling, as the amount that end up in each other's gardens on a weekly basis is ridiculous? Not to mention they don't really work, as rubbish is blown everywhere. Could this be raised with the council? Now, I know in these circumstances, Nitesh, that this has caused particular issues, what with other people handling the bags and so forth. But obviously the blue bags have been a bit of an issue of contention already. Just to keep you updated in regarding the state of play on that, Nitesh, I have raised concerns about this with the council's waste and environment team. I know that Cardiff Council and other neighbouring authorities have slightly changed their system at the moment. I did put in a request. It was either the start of this week or probably last week, actually, after having an email from a resident on this. But what I basically said, Nitesh, was the resident was asking, would it be possible for us to move away from sort of curbside sorting on the basis of the risk of getting infected and so forth? I haven't had an answer back on that yet. So if I don't get an answer back within the next couple of days, I will chase them on this. I appreciate the guys in the council have been under a lot of pressure recently. I'm not usually one to cut them slack, as you'll all well know. I am usually one to sort of hold their feet to the fire and demand the very best services for residents. It's important that services are maintained, of course, but obviously I think we do have to be realistic in the current situation, that it is perhaps going to take them time to formulate these schemes and answer all of our queries. But that one is in the pipeline. I have put that request in, and once I get an answer back either way on that question, Nitesh, I will get in touch with you all as residents to keep you updated. So thank you for that. Hopefully that answers your question. Now, I've also had another question come through that was sent in advance by Owen Edwards. Now, Owen's question is this. It's sort of touching on what Nitesh was saying, actually. It's, hi, George. With council buildings like libraries and the civic offices shut, where can people from across the Vale get food and recycling bags? Also, what are councillors like you doing to help residents? Well, that's sort of two questions, actually, Owen, so thanks for sending those in. On the first one, which does sort of touch on the waste issue that Nitesh was raising, many of you will have seen last week that I put a post out on social media, people getting in touch to say they don't have the they didn't have food waste bags. Last week, the council gave me a selection of bags. I then took down the addresses of the residents who'd contacted me, and as some of the people who are watching now, actually, as I can see, I took their addresses down and then I delivered them to their doorstep, contact free. It was done in a safe way, and I thought that was quite an efficient way of doing it. However, in the current circumstances, the advice and guidance the council have given has now changed, and they don't think that that is the best way of maintaining the social distancing rules. So that's why I haven't been able to get any more bags distributed like that. There has been an update on this in that because of the need to keep crews separate and so forth, they, instead of putting the entire crews as they go around doing the waste collections in one lorry, instead what they're doing is having some of the crew follow in cars behind so that they can maintain that 2 meters separation distance as well. And the advantage of that, if you like, Owen, is that the council can now make sure that they've got full stocks of those bags to replenish and replace for those residents who are either run out or close to running out. So what the advice on this has been, and this has come from the waste management team, it came through yesterday or first thing this morning. I don't pay attention to the times on my emails as perhaps I should, but it came through in the last day or so anyway. They're saying, as usual, please tie a bag to, or a handkerchief, or a cloth if you've run out of bags completely, to the food waste canister, and then when the council refuse collectors come to collect your waste, they will then replace or give you a new set of bags. Now, I know in the past this hasn't always happened. In fact, it was the reason I started doing the deliveries myself. But they've assured me now they will be replenished. So that's how it's going to be done. If that you do as instructed, you follow the rules, and then the council still don't replace them as they've said they would, get in touch with me and I will chase them and I will push them then, because I think it's important that we go along with their systems and try and make things work as best they can. But if then there is a problem, obviously we do need to make sure that that's rectified. So that's the way I've been asked to go about doing this, and if we buy into that, that should be a good way of delivering it. So that's the state of play with that, really. In terms of the second part of your question, Owen, basically it's about trying to keep on top of everything. It's about trying to engage with residents. It's about using some old ways, such as this traditional sort of social media, emails, that sort of thing, and also engaging in new ways like I'm doing right now with Facebook Live. So as I said, some of the ways I engage with residents and help residents work, some of them are less successful, but hopefully this will be a good way of doing just that. What I would say to any resident who has an issue, please do get in touch with me and I will do my very best to help you. Usually it means going to the relevant department within the council and asking them to deal with whatever that problem is. If it's waste, for example, it's about getting in touch with the waste management team and so forth. So please do get in touch with me. You can either contact me via email, which is george.carroll@valeconservatives.org.uk. That's my email address. Or you can ring me. My number is 07889 384 059. If I don't answer, please do leave a message and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Or you could just drop me a message on here. That's absolutely fine as well. So a number of ways you can get in touch with me. But the one thing I would say, if you want my help, please do get in touch. If you've got a problem, I will always do my very best to help with it. But even if I can't, it's worth asking the question, because sometimes you may not think it's something I can help with, but I can. Or even if it's not something I can help with personally, it might be that I know who can and can put you in touch with them and point you in their direction. So please do get in touch if you've got a problem. And to be fair, I think that most councillors across the Vale are doing that. And if you're watching this and you're not from and you're not from Llandough, please do engage with your local councillor, because it is their job to stand up for you and represent you at all times, but especially in times of crisis like this. And it's important we all look out for one another. So that is very much what I would suggest. So thank you for that, Owen. And I can just see, actually, Tracy Hodges just commented that she put a bag on her box this morning, but they didn't leave any, so we'll try next week. Well, that's very disappointing to hear, Tracy, actually, because I was given categoric assurances on this from the director, who's the head poncho, if you like, in that department. Deeply disappointing that the system hasn't worked. If you drop me a direct message, appreciate you don't want to put your address in the comments so that everyone can see it. Drop me a direct message and I will chase them on that, because they gave me a categoric assurance that that's going to happen. Obviously, they haven't kept to that, and it's important that you get those bags replaced ASAP, because it is an essential service, and if we want to make sure that our waste is properly disposed of, then they need to replace those. So do get in touch, and I will chase that. Also, I can see another Tracy Scott. Hi, Tracy, has made the point about the maisonettes. Now, there are obviously a number of maisonettes around Llandough and flats and various things. That is a very good question about communal waste areas. Actually, I will have to get back to you on that. I would imagine they'll be able to just leave them in the communal waste area, but I will check on that. I know your address anyway, Tracy, because I delivered the bags off last week. So I will check that and get back to you. So thanks for that. Thanks for that point. So hope you're all finding this beneficial so far. I noticed that I've gone through all of the live questions that have come in as we've done them. So if I go back to one of Rory Glossop's questions, the ones that Roy sent in, one of Roy's questions was, when will the garden waste bags resume collection? Most of us have not got sufficient green bags, and where do we leave our waste? Well, thanks for that question, Roy. Unfortunately, when I asked this question to the department yesterday, they had to give me a holding answer, which was just, we don't know for the moment, we're under pressure, and we're going to have to, and we don't have the staff to be able to do these collections. So if you have an issue with green waste bags, your bags are all full, please do let me know, because what I can do is ask for the council to have some delivered to you so that your capacity in your own home is greater. The advice that has come in has been, if you can home compost it, do try, because it's fantastic for your garden. I know my dad, it's very big on his composting himself, and it can be better than buying the stuff in. So if you've got that option, that's one way of dealing with it. If not, do drop me a private message and we'll see what can be arranged. But unfortunately, those collections aren't going to be on for the next couple of weeks, I don't believe, at least, simply because they don't have the capacity to deal with it. But that's the state of play with that. It is incredibly frustrating. I get that. I'm the first to believe we need to have the best services and reliable services, but I do think at this time we do need to be realistic, and where we have to prioritise services, I think that the black collections and the food waste does need to be prioritised on the basis that could have serious environmental repercussions if that's left to build up in our community and neighbourhood. So that's the state of play on that one. One of Rory's other questions, this is a good question actually, Rory, it's, are we in any danger from the fumes and pollution emitted from burning clinical waste from Llandough Hospital in light of the COVID-19 virus? Now, my own personal view is almost certainly not. They wouldn't be allowed to burn the stuff in the vicinity of the local area if there is a problem or a health and safety risk on that. I did put a question in to the health board on that today, and And what I will do is, once that answer comes in, I did have a holding response back from the Chief Executive's office. The answer was, I will have to speak with someone in the estates team, but I will get back to you. And once they get back to me, I will let you all know. So I will keep you updated on that. It is important we get those reassurances. As I've said, I've got no reason to believe that there is any risk at all, but the question has been put, and once we have the answer, I will let you all know. And Katie Parsons-Young has just sent a message as well. Hi, councillor. You can call me Katie. Call me George. Katie. Don't call me Katie. That might be slightly bizarre. But hi, councillor. Have you noticed the litter building up along Llandough Hill? It's tins of lager and beer mainly. Well, Llandough Hill, unfortunately, does tend to have an issue with littering from time to time. I know that Coganpill Road is similar, and other areas in the village can be subjected to that. What I will do on that one, Katie, is get onto the council and see what services or facilities are available on that. I don't know whether they can have litter picking teams go out and collect as usual in these circumstances. It's one of the few updates they haven't put out, or at least if they have, it's one that I've missed. But I will draw that to their attention, and with any luck, they will do something about it. So it is important that we look after the environment. Appreciate if you're the sort of person who's engaged with this sort of session and sending messages in or watching this, you're almost certainly not going to be the people who are responsible for that littering. But the one piece of advice or plea I can put out there: please don't litter in our community. It's not pleasant. It's not nice. It's unsafe, and it's something we can all do without. So I will put that request in, and hopefully we can deal with that. Nita Shah has just put a question in as well. Just joined this session, so not sure if you have already answered, but any chance of getting garden waste collection, please, as I cannot get to the tip. Unfortunately, Nita, I have answered that question, and it's not particularly good news, unfortunately. The garden waste collections are suspended, and they remain suspended. I have asked when they're likely to be starting back up again. They haven't been able to give me an answer on that. The situation is they are under pressure with staff shortages as a result of COVID-19. So they've had to prioritise services, and that's meant that they have sadly had to drop the garden waste collections. With the recycling centres being shut as well, that doesn't help matters. What I will do, as soon as there is an issue, as soon as there is an update on this, I will keep everyone in the loop. But it's not good news for the moment, but hopefully that will change in the not too distant future. If you have a particular problem with waste building up, or you'd like some advice on that, please do drop me an email or give me a call, because there may be specific circumstances or questions that I can raise with the waste management team. Please get in touch with that, and I will do my very best for you. So not good news on that front, unfortunately, but as soon as I have an update, I will bring that forward. If I go back to one of Rory's other questions, then this is not strictly a council question, but it is something that I think it's important to update you on anyway, and that is, why is the Welsh Assembly not giving a daily briefing on the news like in England? It seems we are lacking in both information and volunteering. Well, actually, Roy, and I think this is probably an issue that happens at all times, let alone in a crisis. Our media in Wales isn't particularly strong in comparison with either England or Scotland. The simple fact is, actually, yes, they have been giving a daily briefing. It's either the First Minister or relevant ministers have been taking part in that, but people haven't known it's been going ahead. Now, I'm not one to ever defend the Welsh Government, as I'm sure you'll all know and appreciate, but on this occasion, they have been doing these briefings. The one piece of information I can give you, which is good news, starting this week, so from Monday, which was, of course, yesterday, they have in fact been televised. They've been live on BBC One, Cymru Wales at 12:30. So if you do want to watch that, please do tune in, or you can go onto the BBC or Welsh Government websites and the information will be there. So that those briefings are going ahead, but I appreciate that not many of you, or not many of us, I should say, know about them, and that is a failing in the system, and I do think that it's something that needs to be addressed long term. So if you do wish to watch them, that's how you can. And really, I think that other places that it's worth going for advice, if you haven't been to already, is the UK government website. They've obviously been providing lots of updates on the various schemes and support mechanisms available for the many of us who have been affected by COVID-19. So that's one worth following. Also, the NHS website, the NHS providing very good medical advice and information on the precautions we need to be taking and symptoms and things like that. And the other one is the Vale Council website, which have daily or live updates, I should say, on any service changes brought about by COVID-19. So do take a look at that as well. And the other place I would say, please do take a look at my pages as well. If you're not on my mailing list already, please do drop me a message and I will add you. I can then keep you updated as quickly as the information comes into me. One of the other things I would say, please do like my page, George Carroll for Llandough. Shameless plug there, but if you do like this page, I do put information on here as soon as I have it. And also, if you're in the Llandough Old and New Residents page, I do keep people updated on there as well. And one other, actually, which I know a lot of you are on, but a lot of you perhaps don't know about, and that's the Nextdoor app. Nextdoor is a fantastic it's sort of like a social media to engage with your neighborhood and community. So it's definitely one that it's worth signing up to. And basically go on there. I put all the updates that I put on Facebook on there as well. Often neighbors who perhaps want a hand or a favor or are in a position to offer a favor themselves also pop that on there. So if you're not on Nextdoor, please do sign up. And I know that Dean Mears, who was on the community council in Llandough, did a lot of very good work in getting that set up for our community. So do make use of that if you're not on there already. And I've had another question in from Imogen, that's, are the council tips open? Unfortunately, Imogen, the answer is no, they're not. So if you do have waste built up, unfortunately, you can't take it down to the tip. They've had to close them because of the current restrictions that are in place. The one thing I'm saying, it's best if you have particular issues with waste at the moment to get in touch with me directly. The reason for that is I can then either answer it myself if I've got the information to hand. If I haven't, I can raise that instead with the waste management team. So that's one way of getting your query sorted. So unfortunately, the tips are not open at the moment. They have had to shut them. As and when that changes, I will, of course, keep you all updated on there. And going back to some of Roy's questions, because I do have one or two of those left to answer. Roy asked the same question that Owen answered about food boxes. If you weren't tuned in at the start of this, food boxes do tie a bag to the canister on Tuesday, which is our collection day here in Llandough. Then the waste collection teams will give you some replacement bags. If you don't receive them, as I know one or two of you have said you haven't, please do drop me a message and I will chase that up with the team and I will ask them to get those out to you pronto, because that should have been done. So that's the answer to that one, just to recap. And one of Roy's final question actually is, what medical conditions are classed as extremely vulnerable, and do we have different categories for vulnerable health in general? Well, it's quite an extensive list, actually, Roy. My best piece of advice would be to go onto the NHS website where they provide full details of all of those conditions and also other advice as well. So that would be my first port of call. But a couple of the conditions or groups who are classed as vulnerable are obviously over 70s, pregnant women, people with respiratory conditions such as asthma, also people with underlying heart conditions, diabetes is one, and also people who are severely overweight. That's another one. I would say that's not an extensive list. The advice on what to do if you're in one of those groups may well be different. So please don't take my advice on that. In case you hadn't noticed, I'm not a doctor. I don't have any medical training, so it's best to leave that to the professionals. And the NHS website is a good place to start on that. I've just seen that Kim Ovenstone has put a question in. Same problem there. My neighbours tied the bag and none were delivered. Really disappointing to hear that, Kim. As I said, I had this assurance just a couple of days ago from the waste management team that they would be. They assured me this was a foolproof system. It clearly isn't. I will deal with it. If you could ask your neighbours to get in touch with me, I will chase it up with waste management and ask them to get that resolved. Nita's question as well, I can just see, is there a job centre in Penarth now? Job centres, unfortunately, aren't open as a result of this. Actually, I'm not sure whether they are or not. I'll have to get back to you on job centres and other things. I would imagine they're shut, but please don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. I will find out the state of play with regard to that, and I will keep you all updated on that because it is important. I just thought I saw some other messages, but they appear obviously not. No, nothing else on there for the moment. But as I said, I will keep you all updated on there. Another one, Nita George is the civic office man. Has tried calling them last week but did not get through. The civic offices are closed. As are many other council buildings at the moment. The hotlines, some of them are still working, some of them aren't. It does depend on the service you are seeking to get in touch with. One of the points I would make on this, they are dealing with a large number of calls at the moment, as you can probably expect. But my advice on this would be pretty clear. If you have a particular issue, don't hesitate to come to me in the first instance, because as your local member, I do have ins with the responsible officers and departments within the council. So do get in touch with me. Either drop me a message on here, give me an email at george.carroll@valeconservatives.org.uk, or give me a call on 07889 384059. And James Green has just put a question in as well. Hi, George. Do you have an update, or are you aware of plans for the patch of land opposite the car garage slash entrance to the park, please? I'm assuming you mean the land north of Leckwith Road that had a planning application go in around this time last year, actually, James. Unfortunately, that application was granted permission. It's plans for 50 flats. It's an application I opposed at the time, and many other residents in the community did as well, because we have severe concerns about access, the density of the site, also concerns about drainage. Sadly, I went to the committee meeting, as did a number of other residents. I spoke out. I said why I didn't think this was good for Llandough or an appropriate development, and urged the committee to reject it. Sadly, they did approve that. So permission is there for that block to be developed. Some initial exploratory works have been carried out on the site. Nothing more than that has been done as yet. I would imagine the current situation has put on hold whatever they had planned for the foreseeable, but that is the state of play. Those are the plans, and sadly they do have planning permission on there. And Katie's got back in touch with another question. George, I had some bags. I asked the refuse guys and they said they had run out on the round, so just tie it again next week. This does seem to be a theme developing here. I was assured by the head of the department, or the director, a chap called Miles Punter, in case any of you have come across him. Miles said to me, in no uncertain terms, would make sure that they were well stocked. Clearly, that hasn't happened. I will go back to them and I will ask what has happened, and I will ask them to make sure that you all get your bags as necessary, because I think that it is important that that when you have a system in place, it works. Clearly, the system isn't working as well as perhaps it should have done. So I will raise those concerns, and hopefully we can make sure that this doesn't happen again. But as I said, get in touch with me directly if you haven't had the bags replaced as the council should have done. I will then, if you send me your address across, if I don't have it already, I will then ask them to investigate and make sure that that is dealt with. So that's just about all the questions I've had in so far. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been really beneficial. It's good to see some of you have been tuned in. I'm not sure exactly how this has gone. I'll have to watch and watch it back if that's possible. If there is a way of downloading it and putting it online for those of you who can't who couldn't watch it live, I will do so. But as I said, this is my first time, never done it before, not entirely sure about the intricacies of doing it all, so it will be very much trial and error on this, but hope you have found it beneficial anyway. I will try and write up the questions and answers that I went through this evening, so that those of you who would like a written copy, I can send those across as well. It might take me a while because obviously we have gone through quite a lot, but I will do my best to do that. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me. I've enjoyed it. I think it's been good to see sort of live engagement on this. It's good to see some positive messages coming through. If there are negative messages as well, or you've got feedback or things you think I should do differently or other suggestions, please do let me know, because it is only through trying these things and learning them that we get better and we improve them. But I'll just end by saying, if you do need to get in touch with me, either message me on here, that's absolutely fine. Drop me an email at george.carroll@valeconservatives.org.uk, or give me a ring on 07889 384059. If I don't answer, leave a message and I will get back to you. But I'll just leave you with this. Please do follow the advice and guidance that has been put out in over the past week or so. It's not nice. It's not pleasant having to stay inside. I'm tearing my hair out at times, as I'm sure you all are as well. But it's vital that we're all able to that we all observe these rules, because that's the way that we're going to look out, not just for ourselves, because you may not be in a vulnerable group yourself, but your friends, neighbours, family may well be. It's important we look out for them. We will beat this virus, but it's by following these rules that we will do so. So thank you all for joining me this evening, and please do stay safe.